In one of the coldest places on Earth, survival changed everything. Life in Greenland follows rules most people would never accept. From extreme diets to shocking traditions, nothing here is ordinary. Some customs still disturb outsiders today. Join us as we uncover the harsh reality of life in Greenland.
Number 14. Tasiilaq, East Greenland. Isolation. Tasiilaq might be Greenland's most isolated town, despite having 2,000 residents. Located on the east coast, it's completely cut off from the rest of the country by the ice sheet. No roads connected to anywhere. No ferry runs from the west coast because the ice-choked waters are too dangerous. The only ways in or out are helicopter or a short flight from Iceland during summer months. This isolation created a distinct culture. The East Greenlandic dialect differs significantly from West Greenlandic, with unique vocabulary and grammar. For centuries, people here had minimal contact with other Greenlandic communities, developing their own traditions and techniques for surviving in an environment even harsher than the West Coast. The town sits on a small island in a fjord, surrounded by massive mountains that rise directly from the sea. These peaks, some exceeding 6,000 feet, create a dramatic landscape where glaciers tumble down between rock faces, calving icebergs into the fjord. The scenery attracts adventurous tourists willing to deal with difficult logistics and unpredictable weather. Winters here are brutal, even by Greenlandic standards. Pack ice surrounds the island from January through May, sometimes cutting off even helicopter access for weeks. Temperatures drop to -40 degrees Fahrenheit regularly, and blizzards can last for days. Yet people adapt. The local school, hospital, and shops operate year-round, maintaining normalcy despite conditions that seem designed to make human habitation impossible. Dog sledding remains essential for winter travel around the region. Snowmobile use is restricted to preserve traditional practices and reduce noise pollution. This means Tasiilaq offers one of the few places where you can still experience old Arctic life relatively unchanged by modern technology, where the sound of dog teams moving across frozen fjords echoes just as it did centuries ago.
Number 13. No roads between towns. 0. That's how many roads connect Greenland's towns and settlements to each other. In a territory spanning over 836,000 square miles, no highway system exists. The rocky terrain, permafrost, and thick ice make road construction nearly impossible and economically unfeasible. Instead, residents rely on boats, planes, helicopters, and dog sleds for transportation. During summer, boats become the primary transport method along the coast. Ferries run scheduled routes between major settlements, though weather can cancel trips without notice. Rough seas, fog, and floating icebergs create constant hazards. In winter, when ice locks up the waters, small aircraft take over as the main connection between communities. The domestic airline Air Greenland operates a fleet serving settlements across the island. Flight costs run extremely high because of limited competition and harsh operating conditions. A one-way ticket from Nuuk to Ilulissat, roughly 300 miles, can exceed $500. Helicopter trips to tiny villages cost even more, sometimes reaching $1,000 for short distances. Weather determines everything. Fog rolls in and grounds all flights, stranding passengers for days. Blizzards shut down operations completely. Pilots must be specially trained for Arctic conditions, where whiteout can disorient even experienced aviators. Within individual towns, people do have local roads and vehicles. Nuuk has several miles of paved streets. Cars, trucks, and buses operate normally in these small road networks, but drive to the edge and pavement simply ends.
I'm going to ask you a simple question. Are you a naturally curious person? If you're watching, I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. This space is made for people like us. To ensure you're always part of this community and receive all our latest discoveries, you just need to do one thing: subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to stay connected with us. Okay, now that you're part of our Legion of the Curious, let's move on to the next item.
Number 12. Inuit traditional diet. Raw meat forms the foundation of traditional Inuit nutrition, a practice developed over thousands of years in an environment where cooking wasn't always possible. Seal, whale, fish, and caribou meat are consumed fresh, frozen, or fermented. This isn't about preference, but survival. In Arctic conditions where temperatures drop to -50 degrees Fahrenheit and wood for fires is scarce,
Eating raw meat provided essential calories and nutrients. The Inuit developed specific techniques for preparing raw meat safely. Muktuk consists of whale skin with attached blubber, sliced thin and eaten fresh. It's rich in vitamin C, which prevented scurvy during long winters without vegetables. Kiviak represents a more complex preparation. Whole ox, small seabirds, are sewn into a sealskin and buried under rocks for several months. Fermentation breaks down the bird's tissues, creating a strong flavored delicacy saved for special occasions. Modern Inuit communities still practice these food traditions, though supermarkets now offer imported goods. Many families maintain hunting practices, going out on the ice to catch seals or fishing through holes in frozen lakes. The meat gets shared throughout the community following ancient customs of reciprocity. Younger generations learn hunting skills from elders, preserving knowledge that's kept their people alive for millennia. Critics from outside cultures sometimes condemn these practices, not understanding the context. Shipping fresh vegetables to remote Arctic communities costs enormous amounts and creates massive carbon footprints. Local hunting provides sustainable protein adapted to available resources.
Over 2 million square kilometers. That's how much space Greenland takes up on this planet, making it the world's largest island. To put that in perspective, it's bigger than Mexico, but holds fewer people than a small town. The entire population sits around 57,000 inhabitants, scattered across this frozen giant. Located in the Arctic Circle, between the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans, Greenland remains one of Earth's most unexplored territories. Massive regions covered in ice sheets have never felt human footsteps. The landscape holds frozen forests, towering fjords, and an ice layer that blankets almost the entire surface. Here's something wild about the name. Greenland comes from the Old Norse term Grenland, which translates to Greenland. But there's nothing green about it today. Most of the island stays buried under ice and snow year-round. According to Norse sagas, a Viking explorer named Eric the Red coined this misleading name around 982 AD. Exiled from Iceland after violent conflicts, Eric needed followers for his new settlement, so he used what might be history's first marketing trick by calling this frozen wasteland a Greenland to attract settlers. The strategy worked. People believed the name suggested fertile ground in mild weather. They showed up expecting prosperity and found ice instead, but by then they were committed to staying. Eric's deceptive naming has lasted over 1,000 years, proving that a clever label can outlive reality itself.
Number 10. Igloo construction technique. Compressed snow, not solid ice, forms the building material for traditional igloos. This distinction matters enormously because snow contains millions of tiny air pockets that act as powerful insulation. The Inuit observed their environment carefully and discovered that certain types of snow work better than others. They sought snow that had been wind-packed but not frozen solid, dense enough to cut into blocks, but porous enough to trap air. Building an igloo requires specific knowledge passed down through generations. First, the builder identifies the right snow, then cuts blocks using a long knife or saw. Each block measures roughly 2 feet by 1.5 feet and weighs around 40 pounds. The blocks are arranged in a spiral pattern, with each row tilted slightly inward to create a dome shape. The spiral technique allows one person to build from inside, placing blocks without external support. The dome distributes weight evenly and resists wind pressure better than straight walls would. The entrance sits lower than the sleeping area, creating a cold trap where frigid air settles while warmer air rises and stays where people sleep. A small vent hole at the top allows carbon dioxide to escape while maintaining warmth inside. Simple body heat from 1 or 2 people, combined with a small lamp burning seal oil, can raise the interior temperature to around 32 degrees, even when outside temperatures plummet to -50 degrees. This represents remarkable engineering using only natural materials available in the Arctic environment.
Number 9. Russell Glacier Meltwater Rivers. Every summer, the Russell Glacier near Kangerlussuaq creates a phenomenon that looks like something from another planet. As temperatures rise above freezing, the ice sheet's surface begins melting, forming rivers that flow across the ice. These aren't small streams. We're talking about rivers 30 feet wide and several feet deep, carving channels through ice that's been frozen for thousands of years. The water appears an impossible shade of blue, almost neon, caused by the way light interacts with ultra-pure glacial ice. Sediment-free water absorbs red wavelengths and reflects blue,
creating colors so vivid they seem artificial. These rivers eventually plunge into moulins, vertical shafts that drop hundreds of feet through the ice to the bedrock below. The sound of rushing water echoes through these ice tunnels, while spray creates icicles and frozen formations around the mouths of these holes. Scientists study these meltwater systems intensely because they affect glacier movement. Water flowing beneath the ice acts as a lubricant, allowing the entire ice sheet to slide faster toward the sea. During peak melt in July and August, the amount of water pouring off Greenland's ice sheet reaches staggering volumes, over 500 billion gallons per day. That's enough to fill about 750,000 Olympic swimming pools every 24 hours. This meltwater flows into the ocean, contributing to global sea level rise and altering ocean currents. The increasing rate of melt worries climatologists. Greenland's ice sheet contains enough frozen water to raise global sea levels by 24 feet if it completely melted. While total melt would take centuries, even small changes affect coastal cities worldwide, making these bright blue rivers more than just a pretty sight, but a preview of our planet's future.
Number 8. Disco Island Basalt Formations. Disco Island rises from Baffin Bay like a geological museum frozen in time. The island stands 3,312 square miles and contains some of Earth's most unusual rock formations. Around 60 million years ago, massive volcanic eruptions spewed lava across this region, creating layers of basalt that now tower in dramatic cliffs and columns. What makes Disco truly weird is what the lava encountered as it flowed. The molten rock hit pockets of methane and coal deposits, triggering underground fires that burned for thousands of years. This process created a rock type called native iron, extremely rare in nature. Chunks of pure metallic iron, some weighing hundreds of pounds, can be found scattered across the island. Before European contact, Inuit people collected this iron and used it to make tools and weapons, giving them a significant technological advantage over other Arctic cultures who relied entirely on stone and bone. The island's geology attracts scientists studying what Earth looked like during the Paleocene epoch. Fossilized plants found here show that Disco once had forests and temperatures 20 degrees warmer than today. Magnolia and redwood fossils appear in rock layers, proof that this frozen island once enjoyed a temperate climate. The town of Qeqertarsuaq sits on the island's south coast, home to about 850 people. Nearby hot springs bubble up from underground, heated by residual volcanic activity. The water reaches 64 degrees Fahrenheit, which doesn't sound warm until you remember the Arctic Ocean around it sits at 30 degrees Fahrenheit. The contrast creates a surreal experience, soaking in hot water while icebergs float past in the background.
Number 7. Denmark-Greenland relationship. $591 million. That's approximately how much Denmark transfers to Greenland annually in block grants, accounting for about 20% of Greenland's GDP. This financial relationship dates back to 1721, when Denmark-Norway established colonial control. For centuries, Greenlanders had no voice in their own governance, forced to adopt Danish language, customs, and laws. In 1979, Greenland gained home rule, allowing self-governance over internal affairs, while Denmark retained control of foreign policy and defense. This arrangement evolved further in 2009, when Greenland achieved self-government with expanded powers, though remaining part of the Kingdom of Denmark. Greenland's 57,000 residents generate limited tax revenue from fishing, tourism, and small-scale mining. Without Danish support, maintaining hospitals, schools, airports, and infrastructure across this vast territory would be impossible. Yet dependency frustrates many who desire full independence. Some appreciate the economic stability and Danish citizenship benefits, including access to European education and healthcare. Others view it as neocolonialism, arguing that natural resources should benefit Greenlanders first. The independence debate intensified as climate change opens Arctic shipping routes and reveals mineral deposits previously locked under ice. Greenland controls rights to these resources under the 2009 agreement, but lacks capital to exploit them without foreign investment. Denmark supports independence if residents choose it through referendum, acknowledging the economic challenges involved. Complete independence would require replacing Danish funding through resource development.
Number 6. Kangerlussuaq, former air base town. Start your Greenland adventure, and you'll probably land in Kangerlussuaq, a town that exists purely because of military strategy.
During World War II, the United States built an airbase here to ferry planes between North America and Europe. The location was chosen because it sits inland at the head of a 120-mile fjord, far enough from the coast that fog rarely forms. This makes it Greenland's most reliable airport, with over 300 clear days annually. The town has no traditional history. No Inuit settlements existed here before 1941. It's entirely an artificial creation, a collection of former military buildings converted into civilian use. The population fluctuates between 500 in winter and 1,000 in summer, when tourists and researchers arrive. Rows of identical brown buildings give the place a utilitarian feel, like someone planned a temporary base that accidentally became permanent. But Kangerlussuaq offers something unexpected: access to the ice sheet. About 20 miles from town, the Greenland ice sheet begins, a white wall of frozen water stretching to the horizon. Tour operators drive visitors in modified trucks across rocky terrain to reach the ice edge, where you can walk onto a glacier bigger than Mexico. The experience is disorienting. The ice extends so far that your brain struggles to process the scale. Stand there long enough and you hear it: creaking, groaning, cracking sounds as the ice shifts imperceptibly, flowing toward the sea under its own weight. The town also sits in one of Greenland's few areas where terrestrial mammals thrive. Muskoxen wander the tundra, shaggy, prehistoric-looking beasts that survived the last ice age. Arctic foxes, caribou, and occasionally Arctic wolves appear near town, drawn by the relatively warmer inland climate.
Number 5. Greenland Ice Core Projects. Beneath Greenland's ice sheet sits a frozen archive of Earth's climate going back 130,000 years. Scientists have drilled cores through the ice, extracting cylindrical samples that reveal atmospheric conditions from before modern humans left Africa. Each layer of ice represents a year of snowfall, compressed under the weight of centuries. Bubbles trapped in the ice contain actual air from ancient atmospheres, allowing researchers to measure exact carbon dioxide levels from any point in history. The North Greenland Ice Core project reached bedrock at 10,018 feet deep in 2003 after drilling for 5 years. The bottom ice formed during the last interglacial period, when temperatures were warmer than today and sea levels stood 20 feet higher. Analyzing this ice provides crucial data about how Earth's climate responds to warming, information directly relevant to current climate change. The drilling process is incredibly complex. Teams work in camps built directly on the ice sheet, living for months in extreme conditions. Temperatures at the drill site average -20 degrees Fahrenheit in summer and drop below -40 degrees Fahrenheit in winter. Everything must be flown in by ski-equipped aircraft: food, fuel, equipment, and even the prefab buildings where scientists live and work. The ice cores are stored in specialized freezers at -4 degrees Fahrenheit and shipped to laboratories worldwide. Cutting a thin slice from a core and examining it under polarized light reveals annual layers like tree rings. Thick layers indicate heavy snowfall years, thin layers show drought conditions. Chemical analysis can detect volcanic eruptions, forest fires, and even human activities like copper smelting that began thousands of years ago. These frozen records prove that Earth's current warming is unprecedented in speed and scope compared to natural climate variations over the past 100,000 years.
Number 4. Nuuk, capital city. 18,326 people call Nuuk home, making it Greenland's capital and largest city. Colorful houses dot the landscape against a backdrop of mountains, sea, and ice. The city sits on the southwest coast, where 3 fjords meet, creating a natural harbor that's been used for centuries. Despite being the biggest urban center, Nuuk feels small compared to cities elsewhere. You can walk from one end to the other in less than an hour. Modern apartment buildings stand next to traditional wooden houses painted in bright reds, blues, yellows, and greens. These vivid colors weren't chosen randomly. In the old days, different colors indicated different building purposes: yellow for hospitals, red for commercial buildings, blue for fish factories. Today, the tradition continues, mostly for aesthetic reasons. The city has everything you'd expect: supermarkets, restaurants, schools, a university, and even a cultural center with regular concerts and exhibitions. But prices shock newcomers. A gallon of milk can cost $12. A simple meal at a restaurant easily runs $40 per person. Everything must be imported by ship or plane, driving costs through the roof. Winter darkness dominates for months. From November through January, the sun barely rises above the horizon. Residents deal with this by embracing artificial light in indoor activities. Come summer, the situation flips completely. The sun refuses to set for weeks, creating the midnight sun phenomenon where daylight stretches endlessly.
People adjust their schedules, sometimes eating dinner at 11 p.m. while sunlight streams through windows.
Number 3. Tunu, traditional wife sharing. Anthropologists documented a practice among some Inuit groups called tunu, or wife sharing, though the term oversimplifies a complex social custom. This wasn't casual or common, but a specific ritual tied to survival, hospitality, and community bonding in isolated conditions. When visitors arrived at remote settlements after dangerous journeys, hosts might offer to share their wives as a gesture of trust and alliance. The practice required consent from all parties involved and carried deep social meaning. In regions where population density was extremely low and survival depended on cooperation between families, these exchanges created kinship bonds between groups. Children born from such unions were accepted and raised communally, strengthening interfamily ties. Refusing such an offer could be interpreted as rejecting the entire community, potentially damaging relationships critical for survival, where isolation meant death. However, this wasn't a daily occurrence or something practiced by all Inuit groups. Regional variations existed, and many communities never engaged in such customs. Western observers often sensationalized these practices, viewing them through their own cultural lens without understanding the context of Arctic survival, where traditional marriage concepts had to adapt to extreme circumstances. By the mid-20th century, Christian missionaries and Danish colonial authorities largely ended these traditions. Modern Inuit communities operate under contemporary social norms.
Number 2. Greenland shark longevity. The Greenland shark lives longer than any vertebrate on Earth. Scientists recently confirmed these animals can survive for at least 400 years, possibly longer. A female shark caught in 2016 was estimated to be 392 years old, meaning she was born around 1624, before Galileo died and while Shakespeare was still alive. These sharks move through Arctic waters like slow-motion ghosts. They swim at barely 1 mile per hour, the pace of a casual human walk. Their metabolism runs so slowly that they take decades to reach sexual maturity, with females not reproducing until age 150. Everything about them seems designed for endurance rather than speed. Growing to 24 feet long and weighing over 2,000 pounds, these sharks hunt fish, seals, and scavenge whale carcasses that sink to the ocean floor. Inuit legends describe them as creatures of the deep that occasionally surface near settlements. Traditional hunters sometimes caught them, but the meat requires extensive preparation because it contains high levels of trimethylamine oxide, a compound that breaks down into toxins. Properly fermented Greenland shark, called hakarl in Icelandic cuisine, is considered a delicacy by some and revolting by most outsiders. The fermentation process takes months and produces a smell described as ammonia mixed with rotting fish. Nearly all Greenland sharks are blind, their eyes clouded by parasites that attach during the shark's youth and feed on corneal tissue. But in the pitch-black depths where these animals hunt, vision matters little. They rely on electroreception and smell to navigate and find prey. Scientists study these sharks intensely, hoping their extreme longevity might reveal secrets about aging, DNA repair, and cellular maintenance that could apply to human medicine.
Number 1. Sermermiut Inuit Archaeological Site. Walk outside Ilulissat and you'll find Sermermiut, one of Greenland's most significant archaeological sites. Humans lived here continuously for 4,000 years until the settlement was abandoned in the 1850s. 4 distinct cultures left their marks on this windswept location: the Sakak, Dorset, Thule, and later Inuit peoples. Archaeologists have excavated hundreds of ruins, revealing winter houses built partially underground for insulation. These weren't temporary shelters, but permanent structures where families lived for generations. The walls were constructed from stones and whale bones, with roofs made from driftwood covered in sod and animal skins. Inside these cramped spaces, measuring roughly 12 by 15 feet, entire families would survive brutal Arctic winters. Body heat from 6 or 7 people, plus a small blubber lamp, provided the only warmth. Excavations uncovered remarkably preserved artifacts: bone needles, carved figurines, harpoon points, and even children's toys. One find showed wooden snow goggles with narrow slits to prevent snow blindness, a design still used by some modern polar explorers. The site reveals how successive cultures adapted to changing climate conditions over millennia. During warmer periods, people hunted more caribou and fish. When temperatures dropped and ice expanded, they shifted to marine mammals like seals and whales.
This flexibility allowed humans to persist in an environment that regularly tried to kill them. Today, wooden walkways guide visitors through the ruins. Information boards explain what life was like here centuries ago. But standing among these ancient foundations, you feel something the signs can't convey: respect for people who thrived in conditions most modern humans couldn't survive a single night.
Still curious? Then don't stop now. The next mystery is already waiting for you. Just click the video on screen. I saved it just for you. See you there, curious one.